The whole Liam Kumar Day effect, not really happening.
Nigel couldn't make it.
Yeah.
I rang up Mendenhall, he said he could make it.
Don't think this whole... Phil, credit to the guy, always manages to do well what he has, but he is a shocking personality. You guys got a trophy? No.
It was pre-vim.
No, my life from Rashad Mendenhall.
Right, here we go. I'm a tag, Jack! I'm a fucking tag!
Hello and welcome to another episode of the LOC Report. We're not quite in October yet, but I suppose week 4 is literally October for us anyway, not necessarily in the US, because there's no game for them, but it is for us. Chris is here. It's not October yet.
It's not October
but
yet.
The weather may as well be.
It may as well be. It's like, honestly, anyone who's in the southern UK right now, even just in the UK generally, you'll see this time last week I was probably, and there's no, so we're feeling the summer vibe still. It's still 21 degrees outside. It's still reasonably hot.
How it's changed.
And then Monday comes around and it just changes just like that. And somehow it's autumn has begun in earnest. It's almost as though it was kind of been saved up.
Yes.
But yes, here we are. This is the proper nitty gritty of the season.
Oh yeah.
The weather's turned. It's dark and cold at night. The heating's on. But the one thing you can always rely on is fantasy football advice.
Yeah, that's the one thing. The weather turning. It's like you say, not as pleasant to be in, but it's football season because that means Thanksgiving's coming. Obviously, from our point of view, we don't celebrate Thanksgiving, but we like the football.
Love the football. It does make working from home that much better.
Very true. Yeah, good point. Good point.
That's it. Just get it on because there might not be another year where you can do that. So
very true. And what's better to get you through the cold winter nights than some NFL football, right? So
there's nothing like it on Sunday.
No,
I'm not gonna lie. Sunday nights would otherwise be pretty dull, except now.
Very true, very true. And you know what else helps get you through dreary weather in October?
What's that?
That is the league news.
Yes.
How did you guess? Indeed, yeah. So looking at the league news, so we do have quite a few key injuries this week. It's probably the worst week in terms of injuries to key players. And the title of the show is then there was one. Well, actually, it's a 0. I may as well call the episode "Hamstring." With the amount of hamstring injuries, I'm just going to reel them off. McCaffrey for Pakistan, AJ Brown, Gridiron Gang, Sterling Shepard, Ross's team forgot to make a logo. Julio Jones, both Titans receivers, bucking the trend, and then we have Juju Smith-Schuster with a rib injury for your gold. So obviously the major ones in there are McCaffrey, AJ Brown, and probably Julio, with the other two also being role players for the team. But the week of the hamstring.
It does seem that way. That's it. You know what? Some of these guys who coming back from injuries anyway, we've seen this happen before, time and time again. When you've come back from long-term injury and then you go three games into the season, especially if you're Christian McCaffrey, when you've been just absolutely used to the maximum. And
this is the bizarre thing that everyone pointed to after that Thursday night game last week, where I think he had something like 59 touches through 2 weeks. They played, who was it that Carolina played in week 2? Some scrub team.
Oh, the Jets.
Yes, the Jets, and they were completely up on them, and they were still handing off to McCaffrey in the fourth quarter, and it's just this is, like you say, this is going to come off injury.
Why?
Yeah,
so it's poor player management. I know that you want to integrate him back into the team, but at the same time, you just don't see that very often.
No, and especially in the modern NFL, where in the preseason players don't play in any of the games, so it's effectively almost a preseason slate for the opening.
It comes as no surprise to me, and I say same with Julio. I see it come back, get long-term injured.
Well, him and AJ Brown barely practiced all summer long, and
that's it. So I expect to see more. I think it's a big factor. Injuries to those kind of players are a huge factor. Although, obviously they haven't been massively effective in the first few weeks. It's this kind of time where you gain your traction and go, and just completely
definitely
stops at its tracks.
Indeed. So only one key waiver move this week as well, and obviously as a result of the McCaffrey injury, it was Chuba Hubbard. Quite a few teams bidding on him, I bet, but Pakistan, the logical highest bidder, adds him, drops Trey Lance, and spends $40 in the process.
I mean, he's gonna have to hope for some serious payback on that, because that's a big investment to make for potentially 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, this is the thing. You look to Elijah Mitchell. I guess I effectively set the post perhaps for the price in a way in week 1 with $27, but Elijah Mitchell was a legitimate candidate for a season-long value.
Yeah.
You make a very good point. The Chuba Hubbard for the next couple of weeks is probably a good option. I don't know who Carolina are playing next week. They play Dallas this week, which isn't the toughest of matchups. Yes, he's not going to take on all the work for McCaffrey, but I think I've seen maybe 2/3 of the McCaffrey role will be his, something like that. $40 is a lot to spend for a team like Pakistan as well, who widely regarded again as the best team coming out of the draft, and has certainly seemed so far in the season one of the better teams with some depth there as well.
That's it.
I no problem. Like again, no problem with the player choice.
No.
But yeah, you're right to question the bid, and we do because I bid on him. If anyone else would like to venture forth with your waiver reports for other players you bid on, because I can only see players that I bid on, but we can go to the waiver report here and actually see what the bids are. I think hopefully. We can't. That's great. So they have the function on the app. I will go to the app and find the waiver report.
How bizarre!
This has to be the first thing NFL Fantasy's done that's actually on the app, but not. It's got to be on there somewhere. I need to search. I tried to have a look around before the show started, but
well,
here we go.
Strange
Right,
that.
here we go. Week 4 waiver report. So Chuba Hubbard, where is he? He is down there. So. Live podcasting, nothing better. Right, so great, it pinged back up. This is going well. Here we go. So Pat, 40. Ixham was the highest next spender, $34. So I guess when you compare to that, Pat didn't overbid too much if you did want the player. But yeah, I think you're right. You'd even argue 34 is probably quite rich. The next closest behind that was 13. I bid that is, and I bid 9.
It tells you a lot about sort of where they are in terms of that. I think that it's really interesting for me that this is somebody who Pat could have picked up quite easily for free, rather than hold Trey Lance for 2
Yeah,
years.
but it's tricky. Handcuffs are a very funny thing because obviously it doesn't make sense to do it if your starter stays healthy the whole time. In there are often, certainly in the shallower bench formats, there is often always someone that you could have.
Yeah, absolutely, and someone who might be better. As well as you see, whenever these big stud running backs go down, we see a committee.
Well, yeah,
happen
Mike Davis
anyway,
last year, anyway. Yeah, and like you say, a committee happened. But so that was the key waiver move. So we'll see how Chuba Hubbard does for Pat. Presumably, he's playing him. Hopefully, after that,
you'd like to think so.
Yeah,
wouldn't you?
and Pat's got $49 left for the rest of the season. So no other news there. We are gonna do debate corner today, but I'm gonna whip it round to a bit later in the show, which means we will just dive straight into the week 3 recaps then. And last week's marquee matchup was obviously the Father-Son Bowl, the Stubbs Bowl. So we will start there. Gridiron Gang took on Bare Necessities in the next chapter of the Stubbs Bowl. I think it was probably the 21st, at least, but based on the history, it's probably half the first season. It's in the 20s, whatever it is.
Huge.
And it just about lived up to the billing.
I think so.
With a Monday night comeback from Gridiron Gang to steal it. 96 to 94. Looking down the lineups for Gridiron Gang, Daniel Jones didn't fire, mainly because all of his pass catchers got injured. He only got 17 points. But Alexander, hold on, I've been waiting to do this all week. I've got to do this justice. My name is Alexander Madison. My name is Alexander Madison. Love it, Hamilton. He got 17 points for Gridiron Gang, and every one of those was needed. Literally, I can't.
That was great.
I wanted to pick up a play.
Somebody had to do it at some point.
Ezekiel Elliott got 24 points, and the Broncos defense shutting out the Jets, 26 points there. On the other side of the ball, Ben Assessi, not a bad day, 94. Russell Wilson only got 19, which is a bit bizarre against the Vikings. DeAndre Swift got 17. Travis Kelce 10. Mike Evans 11. Melvin Gordon 14, and Tyler Bass 14. So a good team effort, but not good enough. Gridiron Gang slays the White Whale and moves this series to 7-14.
Oh, that's it.
In favour of Ben Assessi still. So.
50% there. Look, I mean to say this, we did see this being quite close, I think, last week.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were very much on the fence with how it would be. Obviously, it looks like it's a pretty dead heat, but actually you've been pretty fortunate in the sense that you've had that Broncos D, which has done really well through 3 weeks.
Yeah, I will counter that my quarterback lost both his top pass catches. Luckett got injured. Hopkins was already injured. AJ Brown got injured.
This is what I'm getting to. This is it. But 26 points from a D, which is playing the Jets, and Zeke makes a big difference to the week. We mustn't forget the spot start of Madison, which was nice. Very nice. Got no touchdowns. It's lovely. But yes, that's it. There are a lot of injuries there and low scores, and that's it. You're fortunate. There's been some of the other supporting cast has perhaps made up for that.
Yes, oh, absolutely.
Your dad will be ruining this one again because that's it. We also said in the pod last week, and obviously he wasn't listening, that playing the Rams D against Tampa is a bad move. And what happens? He scores 3 points with that D against Tampa and loses the game. Otherwise, it's a pretty solid outing. I'm not going to lie, it's a pretty solid outing. There would have been somebody out there with a safer defensive play. So I'm sure.
Yeah, we'll turn to that. So ignore Broncos and Cardinals because they were obviously owned and played at the time. So looking at your other options there, it wasn't a great free agent, I suppose. Free agent option there, but bearing in mind my dad only needed, what was the difference, 3 points?
Even the Falcons playing the Giants scored the 3 points that he would have needed. Even the Jets.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Even
you wouldn't have started.
No,
but
maybe the Cowboys as well. They held the Chargers to a low.
Cowboys are good. That's it. They're much improved this year.
But yeah, no, that. Anyway, go on. That really did kill them.
That was it, and that was what we did mention this last week. Genuinely though, the starting, skill position players have done quite well. So you wouldn't really see that that's those sort of stat lines being particularly bad.
Yeah.
But it's it. Unfortunately, just that top end that Diggs we said would be a difficult matchup against the Washington football team.
He's had a bit of a slow start.
Absolutely. Yes, it. They didn't need it. They ran all over them. Russ wasn't cooking today. Yeah, but otherwise there's not a lot to be disappointed about, except the fact, the obvious thing, that the Tampa Bay offense is going to run riot over you.
Yeah.
But fair play to you, because you played the right people at the right time. You picked up Madison. And that's what's won you the week.
Exactly, and as we see in a lot of championship seasons, it's plays like that is the difference when it matters.
Exactly that.
So. And Ben Assessi's were a 2-0 team no longer, so we'll find out what happened to the other 2-0 team in Ross, and my team moves to 2-1. On to the next game then, it was the Dream Team against Bedetonators. The Dream Team faced off against Bedetonators in the Week 3 matchup. This was, of course, an outer division week as well. And the Dream Team strolled to a nice 116 to 83 point victory. Looking down the lineups, Justin Herbert finally came through with some touchdowns after his good start to the season, where he didn't have many of those. He got 39 points on the day. Austin Eckler got involved as well with 17. James Robinson turned up with 19. Jamar Chase continues his great start to the season with 19 points en route to that 116. On the other side of the ball for Bedetonators, Dak Prescott had a decent day, 26 points. Aaron Jones as well with 16. Cardinals obviously had a field day against the Jags with 19, but no other players there over really 8 points. So no supporting cast to be seen in this one, which was what let them down. The history of this matchup all time, Bedetonators are now 6-11 against the Dream Team, and the Dream Team moved to 2-1 while Bedetonators fall to 1-2.
Absolute bogey team, really, isn't it? I mean, can we just for a minute just say RIP to Ollie's skill positions, because that's it. They're not great. I think that the receiving core there is weak. I think that Aaron Jones is probably the only bright spark.
They were without Deontay Johnson. It does, but again, one player wasn't going to make the difference.
That Steelers offense is anemic. Big Ben is. I don't care how much weight he's lost. He's also lost all of his talent.
Did you watch the video I put into the chat?
I did see that. Did you see his second rushing attempt as well?
No.
That's it. It was like a wardrobe falling over.
Wardrobe.
That's it, literally. If anyone ever had a wardrobe, saw a wardrobe fall over, where it just goes stutters, and then goes bang.
Well,
that's pretty much it.
I mean, he spoke about his diet this off-season, and, you know, but little did we know it was actually just Arby's he was eating all the time.
Yeah, well, clearly, it's it. He's just, he's gone to Burger King, but he's gone plant-based. Look, I'm not having that. It's it. Ollie, R.I.P. mate. Good luck, but you're gonna need a bit of a revamp in that. As for Viv, I'm going to be the first to say, hyped his team up from the start. All right, hyped it up. Justin Herbert and Eckler, particularly Justin Herbert, who, as we know, that's it, big fan of Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
That's it. Finally, has come good in the shootout game. We thought it would. Look, but the big difference, really, to propel him along the way, is that you're right. One of his running backs, James Robinson, has actually turned up. The Jags have realised they've got quite a nice player there, and they should probably do what they did last season, which was rely on him a little bit to get between the sticks.
Yeah, absolutely. And for once, this was actually a game that the Jags were bizarrely not just in but winning for a reasonable portion of the game. So, you know, that needs to happen, obviously, for James Robinson really to have value. But it's good to see that, you know, if they are in that situation, they might not be in a lot, but if they are, he should at least have a nice day.
Yeah, and which is nice because, you know, you expect guys like Hill and McLaurin to do that a little better as well, week in, week out. Jamar Chase has been great, by the way. That's superb.
You turn to the bench as well. He's got Corey Davis, which, you know, against good defenses, he's just going to get raised because he's the top option. But against other teams, Titans this week, I'm not going to say too much, but he'll probably have a nice day. Javonte Williams as well. Okay, he's not, you know, he's kind of in the timeshare, but clearly he's still got some value as well. You've got Pollard, who isn't the worst flex play.
Not right now. No, it's been used.
So yeah, like I said, they've got a lot of options they can.
Absolutely, I think there's one. That's the team that's going to catch on as time goes on, because they've got threats everywhere. There'll be 1 week where they all happen, and they'll be a 150-point week. You wait.
Yeah, well, yeah, and obviously the usual the usual pitfall of a dream team is they do fade later down the season. So maybe they finally built one that can go the whole distance.
Because it goes the other way. It starts slowly and then builds as we go.
Our next game then was Forge Flyers against Forgot to Make a Logo. Forge Flyers took on Coach Nunn's side last week in Week 3. Coach Nunn, undefeated since last season, but undefeated no more, where they've dropped this one to a good Forge Flyers team, winning 116-89. Looking down the lineups, Forge Flyers, Aaron Rodgers had another solid day with 22 points. Derrick Henry things got 16 points. Cooper Kupp's still going on his strong start to the season, another 22 points there. Chris Carson, 14. And the Saints steal against New England, 21 points, somewhere to that one, 16. On the other side of the ball for Ross's team, Patrick Mahomes got 29 points. It's a very Patrick Mahomes score. Devontae Adams, he turned up a big time as well with 19 points. But then other than that, only the special teams went over 7 points there. And they both got 11. Rodrigo Blankenship in the Bills defense. So both these teams 2-1 now. And the history of this matchup all time is 7-4 in favour of Forge Flyers.
Yes, forgot to make a logo. Also forgot to make a win as well. So what a shame. And also forgot one big thing, which was to replace his players before the Sunday night games, which was also pretty silly. How it was, Duro Henderson was in on Sunday night, and then there was a panic where he realised that all of his bench also played on Sunday night.
Gotcha.
And then Dan Scott played, which was a good move in the end, because
only Logan Thomas did better.
Which wasn't obvious. Yeah. He just got like a garbage time touchdown.
Well, it wouldn't have made the difference either. But
it wouldn't have done. But 2 points would not have made the difference.
These are the things we say all the time, and you know, Ross's whole strategy last season was laissez-faire and leave it as it is. So. He's not going to be able to do that this year.
He said, you've got to make a little bit more of an impression. Look, his team's not as good as last year. When you're playing 3 tight ends and then they all don't score touchdowns, it's a problem. I mean, I was a little bit concerned about Gronk and Waller. I thought they were both going to do something on the day, but they were kept pretty quiet, actually.
Gronk's run had to end. He was on a ridiculous. His snap count isn't. He's not an every down player like he used to be. What he did in the first 2 weeks was bonkers. So.
Yeah, and he's playing the LA Rams defense, and and playing away, and it's going to happen. So you know what, it did well for the first couple of weeks. Will it sustain itself? No. Will that team sustain itself? Probably not. Because I just don't see where outside of Mahomes and Adams, I don't really see where the points are coming from.
Yeah, it's true, but I mean, with a guy such as Mahomes and Devontae Adams, I think we've seen a fair amount of teams in seasons past have relatively good seasons.
You need one more.
You need one more, but
he doesn't have a running back either, which is a real problem.
Darrell Henderson is that running back. He's on the show. Allen Robinson hasn't come good yet, but
Singletary had his games, but it's always very spotty. As for mine, I'm really happy. The bedrock of the team is obviously Henry, Mixon, and Carson. They all combine for reasonable points. Cooper Kupp's been absolutely outstanding for 2 weeks.
Yes.
And after that, really, that's it. As long as you get a solid score elsewhere, it's all good.
Yeah, and Marquise Brown should have been involved in that party.
But
really,
never mind. but yes, it is what it is. But Odell's back this week, so
he was back last week.
Well, he was, but he's properly back this week.
He had quite a high snap count.
It wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad. I prefer him against the Vikings this week.
But, anyone would.
Through 3 weeks, really happy, so I can't really complain with that.
Before we do the next game, I should say, if you're watching live, we do have one viewer. Please do comment along if you would like to. We would love to interact with the
viewer? Show. We have somebody watching us live.
I'm going to guess it's Mike. It's usually Mike nowadays.
How you doing?
Mike loves a pod.
Mike does love a pod.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean, welcome in.
And we're getting to your game, Mike.
There's nothing on TV at 9:30 at night. So.
On a Thursday,
nothing.
So Drag Race ended earlier.
Except West Ham are playing some Austrian team that
Rapid Vienna,
yeah. That's it.
I love the Europa League.
Do we know?
We were winning 1-0 at half time.
That's it. Can we just check how West Ham are doing at this point?
Yeah.
Because last time we talked about the League Cup, which no one cared about, and now we're talking the Europa League, which also no one cares about.
And we didn't do our usual ramble about something completely irrelevant at the start of the show. We kind of did that in the intro to the show.
Rice opens scoring as trouble flares and stands. West Ham at home, trouble flares and stands. Never. Anyway, there you go. 1-0 to the West. 1-0 to the Iron.
And with that, we'll go on to Tom's Tyrants against Pakistan. Tom's Tyrants. Oh, yeah, that's fine. Tom's Tyrants against Pakistan last week. Both these teams at 1-1, looking to surge ahead. It was a pretty closely fought game in which Pakistan did make the comeback, 97 to 86 points. Looking down the lineup, Tom Brady led the way with the 31 points there. McCaffrey is obviously the biggest storyline here, having that hamstring injury in the Thursday night game. Not a great start of the week, but obviously didn't matter. DJ Moore got 13 in the same game. Justin Jefferson came through with 18. Chris Godwin came through with 14 en route to that 97-point outing for Tom's Tyrants. It was a day where Kyler Murray didn't fire on all cylinders, and that was probably, it was the difference between the two sides. 19 points. Najee Harris got 14, Keenan Allen 11. The special teams, though, combining for 31 points. Brandon McManus with 16, and the Panthers D with 15 there, but clearly wasn't enough, so Pakistan goes to 2-1. And all time, the series is now tied at 4-4.
Yep, that's it. Brandon McManus scores 16 at home against the Jets, but the Jets,
and it's in Denver.
The Jets are already tanking, to be fair. They go for the first overall next year. Look, you're right. It's the difference between these two teams. They are very, very similar, and they will be all season long. But you're right. The quarterback was the difference in this game. The skill positions are much for muchness in both. It shows that Pack can still score without McCaffrey because he didn't really do a great deal before he went down anyway.
Yep.
So as long as you can transplant anybody who can score 4 points in, that's fine.
Buffalo, right in the bottom.
There you go.
He got injured too.
That's it. Hey. So, look, I really do think that both these are on an upward trajectory. They both can do well coming into the year. They're both going to score a high amount of points. But what I do worry slightly about with Tom's is that outside, Kyler Murray has to be effectively the running back 2+, really, if in that team, because you look at the bench there, and I don't know why he didn't play Antonio Gibson.
Silly, but people behind the gun, it was a competition between him and Najee Harris, which, to be fair, when you see Sutton against the Jets, Debo, Niners' top receiver.
You just sometimes don't have to think about it.
And to be fair, without that, bizarrely, that 73-yard touchdown, he would have been absolutely right, might I add.
Maybe, but that's it. That is like saying, that's it. We would have won the Super Bowl, but that's it. If it wasn't for David Tyree's catch on his helmet, that's it. Wasn't for his sticky helmet, and that's it. Tom Brady had another ring. It's true, So it would have been another win. However, it's just sometimes you pick second overall, just put them in your team. That's it. So anyway, whatever. Pat goes on. Pat carries on his streak. Fair play, because Pat hasn't had the best of luck in the last few years. I am interested to see what will happen now. Will he get on that Browns roulette and play Kareem Hunt every week and hope and pray?
Well, I mean, yeah, they've. We'll get onto it in the preview, but he's been getting a lot more work, I think, than anyone thought he would entering the season. Next game then was Ixan against Neapolitans. Sorry. So Ixan took on Neapolitans in week 3. Ixan, they were at 1-1 coming off their first loss. Meanwhile, Neapolitans have known nothing but losses in their short career in the LOC, and sadly that continued in this one, 121 to 85 in favour of Ixan. Looking down the lineups, Josh Allen erupted. He finally arrived at the party with 45 points. Brandon Cooks got 12, and again, special teams going crazy in week 3. Justin Tucker 17 points with clearly the best field goal of all time, and the Browns with 26 points against the Bears, whatever they are, and then Neapolitans. So no, Lamar Jackson had an okay day, 21 points there. Barkley, he's starting to get rolling. It seems 15 points. George Kittle got 10. So did Christian Kirk. Daniel Carson got 12 en route to the 85. But it was obviously Ixan on the day, and there was no history in this one, of course. But Ixan moved to 2-1. Meanwhile, Neapolitans set out 0-3.
Yeah, well, this is definitely one. Benny's going to be boing, boing, boing all year. It's up and down, and he's going to be wildly different. It's going to be 121 one week, there'll be 70 the next, there'll be 130 the next, 80 the next. He's going to be mental. It's going to be a sort of roller coaster ride for Ben this year. This is what he kind of expected when he drafted Josh Allen, where he did. He expected those kind of points. The rest of his team, not being fair, Nick Chubb ain't been great for the first few games. Yeah, that's it. He's been sort of gazumped. Yeah, and the rest of his skill positions, much like Ollie's, just ain't firing right. They're in either poor offenses or
without Josh Jacobs as well, which bizarrely Peyton Barber is for some reason more relevant than
Peyton Barber's done well. That's it. That's it.
I saw that.
I know. Indeed. Every year he turns up. Every year he's slagging off. Every year he comes back. Proves us wrong. But yeah, outside of the obviously massive quarterback score and massive special team score, not a lot to write on about. Brandon Cooks, though, Houston are doing way better than anyone thought they would. Just going to put it out there. Everyone thought they would be just like getting caned every week. Yeah. They're not.
Even Davis Mills didn't look too bad.
Not too bad.
They didn't take the training wheels off, but he was playing fairly confident.
He was okay. That's it. Yeah, exactly. He didn't play as badly as some other quarterbacks in the league last week. Namely Justin Fields and Zach Wilson. But look, those guys are rookies as well. They just happen to be been sort of hung out to dry a little bit.
Very much. Yeah.
Anyway, Neapolitans. That's it. It's kind of talking about rookies. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Dave Henderson is Urban Meyer this year, right? He's our Urban. Lots of big chat. Lots like he's going to come in. He's going to be revolutionary, and so far he's gone 0-3. So that's it. I'm yet to see it. All right, yet to see it.
Oh, scathing!
But I really am yet to see it. But he has been let down a little bit by his top 3. Lamar's put a solid but not unspectacular score in against Detroit, which is Saquon is starting to run. Jonathan Taylor kind of not at the moment justifying his draft position. Kittle hasn't been that.
The Taylor one's weird though because he's I think he's tied for the league in carries inside the 10-yard line and still doesn't have a touchdown.
Exactly that. He just
really bizarre.
He needs to go and put on some pounds. He needs to go where Ben Roethlisberger's going. Go and join him.
The Roethlisberger day.
That's absolutely. It's of like 3 or 4 years ago. That's obviously not the one in the last 12 months because you're going backwards there. But yeah, look, I see more from Dave Hendon, man. Like I'm looking forward to the day where he blows up and he goes, well, what? I'm not Urban anymore. Same as I'm looking forward to when Jacksonville win.
Yeah, it could be coming. Jackson's obviously not been great to start the year. Barkley naturally was going to have a slow start. Kittle's had a slow start. It's been a very slow start from really the top 4 draft picks there. And he did draft on an Etcher sketch, so let's not forget that. We know Phil did it in a Cafe Nero, but
that's true.
I'd rather do it in a Cafe Nero than on an Etcher sketch.
It's unique. So. It's unique, I'll give you that.
And it wasn't intended.
No, it's exactly that. And also, it wasn't the worst team in the league this week. It just so happened to come across quite a high score.
Yeah, it wasn't even the second worst team, or the third by the looks of things.
Indeed.
So, speaking of 2 of the worst teams, we'll get on to bucking the trend against You Are Gold. Bucking the Trend took on You Are Gold in this one. So entering this week, Bucking the Trend is still searching for their first win. Meanwhile, You Are Gold coming off their first loss. They would get another one in a close, low scorer. I guess you can call it a comeback. 81 points to 75 on the Monday night game, where Mike had the lead down the lineup. So Ryan Tannehill turned up. He got 27 points. Fucking the trend. Alvin Kamara, he had a decent day as well. In the most surprising of games, away to New England. But there you go, 18 points. DK Metcalf got 17 points en route to that 81, but obviously not a lot else there. On the other side of the ball, Baker Mayfield continues to lead the way for You Are Gold with 19 points. Mike Williams has been a revelation, probably arguably the steal of the draft so far with that 26. Adam Thielen 11 and not a lot else. History of this matchup all time, You Are Gold are now 1-2 against Bucking the Trend, and both these teams now sit at 1-2.
Well, look, if there's anything to say, is that Mike's team at least has got plenty of hidden potential in it that's probably not quite there at the moment. And you would expect that a little bit more from, the likes of Amari Cooper, who you saw first week and then didn't play him. And then hasn't really done anything since, just to spite him. Julio's obviously gone down, so that's a bit of a problem.
Didn't play much in the second half with that tightness. It's
a slight issue.
Yeah.
Sanders, we knew what he was going to be at the beginning of the season, and we knew what that offense was going to be at the beginning of the season. And when you've got a quarterback that likes to run around a lot, unfortunately, the running back does kind of become a little bit more insignificant. But yes, it's a win. Somehow, I think this is probably the one we can attribute to hitching the wagon up early, right? He's hitching the wagon up on this one. That's it. I'm saying that this is definitely a gypsy win. It's definitely the first one of the season.
He was saying on Sunday he proudly didn't have a gypsy win all last year.
This is the first one. Got it off his chest early. Hitching the wagon up, like it. All right, there it is. And both teams, just didn't deserve to win the game. I'm not going to lie. Both teams didn't deserve to win the game. But they've had one standout performance each. Yeah. They've had one sort of backup performance each. Ollie Gardner's team, oh man. If it wasn't for Mike Williams, it would be embarrassingly low score, by the way. So
he really saved the bacon.
Yeah, hugely. So
I think this is the first week that he's played them as well.
Well, it's good. It's a good week to play him. Otherwise, we'd be talking about a very, very low score here. But I mean, benching Clyde, man. Benching Clyde. I mean, over some pretty you playing TJ Hawkinson against the Ravens again. Yeah, are you playing TJ Hawkinson against the Ravens or are you playing Clyde? Come on. What's that all about?
History says as well. Again, maybe I get the benefit from listening to all the podcasts I listen to and stuff. But Andy Reid, in fact, they were talking about how the Chiefs really rally around players when they make a mistake. I think it was Mecole Hardman in it was the divisional AFC Championship game last season, the season before, where he had a fumble and they made it a point. They surrounded him, propped him back up, and he ended up making some plays there in the second half. Now, Clyde did fumble again, but obviously they wanted to make a point and make him succeed, and succeed he did. And it would have been the difference.
It would have absolutely the difference. It would have gone masterstroke. That's it. Mike's team sucks. Gypsy, not a gypsy win. But so it's been. That's it. Shooting the other foot here. That's it.
Yeah.
Some more points left on the bench, as we'll see in the rundown in a bit. Adding to that particularly bad coach score that we saw last week.
Yes, and still rostering 3 QBs. We will not stop making that point. And if it was,
and if they were good, it's the thing. Derek Carr still on the waiver wire. Somebody pick him up for God's sake. What's the guy got to do to get on a starting roster in this league? That's it. He's having a career year, and everyone's going, "Nah, I'm going to play sucky QBs."
The bizarre thing is, I agree, and clearly for my team, it was between him and another this week, which Kirk Cousins was seen a second, so otherwise it would have been him. But yeah, he's had a murder's row of defenses and continues to do so somehow.
That's it.
He continues to slay them all. Though,
We're going to talk about this because the Raiders are in the hardest division in football, ish. If not, it's certainly in the top two.
Two of those teams have a very good defense.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, apart from the NFC West, which is probably the hardest division in football, so I'm going there. And they are in the NFC West. No, they're not. They're in the AFC West. The NFC West and the AFC West. The West is really easy. It's really difficult this year. It's like it's the Wild West.
Especially, yeah, I did have a thought like, what is the joke division of the NFL this year? I can't remember what I came out. I think I came out saying maybe the AFC South.
AFC South, is it? Yeah.
And then AFC East probably quite not far behind. Buffalo kind of saves that a little bit.
The NFC sucks too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of... The East sucks, and the AFC South is poor. That's it. If you want defensive shittery, you go there. You go to Houston, Jacksonville, and Tennessee, who all have shit defenses, and then the Colts, who have a shit offense, but they can keep themselves in games. Yeah. So I think we've got it. But yeah, I mean... Yeah, just don't go west. Any of the Western team, but it's such a topsy-turvy one because you think like, see it, but the Raiders, the Chargers, the Chiefs, and the Broncos, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's it. You just think out of that, it's it. It shouldn't be the way it is. But the Raiders are doing really well this year.
They are against everyone's expectations.
That's it. Absolutely. So fair play to them. It's about time the Raiders did well.
Yeah,
they're a storied franchise that sucked for years.
And now they're in Las Vegas. So what's
I would go and watch a Raiders game in Las Vegas if I was there. If I was there, that stadium looks amazing.
It does. Yeah, it looks
like I would so love to do that, but. Yeah, it's just happening. It was being built last time I was there.
Yeah,
which is sad.
Very.
But never mind. Next time.
No.
Next time.
But you know what will cheer you up? John Perkow's coming out of that closet. So John.
At last. That's it.
Order.
Lost our one viewer as well.
Devastating.
He only wanted to see what he wanted to say about his team.
He probably didn't like it.
Didn't like it. He's gone.
Yeah.
So, well, it's all true.
Yeah.
Wagon hitcher.
For Debate Corner this week, thank you, John, by the way. It is, obviously we have 5 playoff teams this year, even though the bracket does say 6, but we know, I'll correct that as and when we get there. We know. So, which does create the scenario of 3 playoff teams from one division. My question, or the question for Debate Corner this week is, will we see 3 teams from one division? And if so, what division would it be?
Ooh!
I'm going to go out an advanced one and say it won't be Portsmouth.
No.
Even me at the top speaking, I could say it's probably whoever wins that division is in, and then
I think
if you don't win it,
exactly
we can discount that one right now. I think.
That's it, exactly that. Yeah, the NFC East of the NFC.
There you go. Yeah, everyone's got one.
There you go. I think that there is a definite possibility that will be the case. I think it will come from the Southampton division.
Easy pick right now when they're all 2-1.
Indeed, but I do think that Pat Stan Benicessis and the Dream Team all have a really good chance of making it because they're all really well-rounded teams. I also think that one of them out there is going to be the highest scoring team because they're all consistent scorers. And I think the Dream Team will come good later on in the year.
Mm-hmm.
The score and the record doesn't represent what potential that team has, in my view.
Sure.
I think that Pastan may stagnate a little bit because they're, engine to keep them going. Their first round pick has gone down, but your dad's always there. It's always there.
Yep.
With really decent scores every year. So it's going to be that one. I think. I don't think it's going to be the Winchester division because I think that Ben's team is so hit and miss that it may score big one week, but it'll average out with something poor the next. Sure. I think my team and Tom's team, so far so good. As I said, Tom's team and Pat's team are very similar. And we say about Ross's team, but that team has to run out of steam at some point.
Especially when the bye week's hit.
Yeah, exactly. It cannot function with playing 3 tight ends a week and just these random at skill players, and still sustain a up with those guys that have better rosters.
Sure,
So,
there you go.
there you go. That's
After 3 weeks, it's better to say, but if playoffs started today, it would actually be obviously Pakistan, Gridiron Gang, Forge Flyers, then Ross's team in the wildcard at the moment, and then obviously it's the highest points among the non-seeded teams. That would currently be Ben, just ahead of my dad's team.
Yeah.
Obviously, a lot to go between now and then.
Yeah, I mean, and I must actually forget is that Ben, to be fair, that's it, scored reasonably high, but also been shat on from a great height with points once again. So
highest points against. Second highest,
except from Dave Henner, but it makes no difference with him, I'm afraid.
We beat him up. Mike's actually had a lower scoring start.
Yeah, as I say, wagon hitcher. So that's it. Dave Henderson would have beaten Mike this week, so I'm not going to completely beat up on his team because he's coming across the wrong people at the wrong time.
Sure.
And just needs a little bit more of a result. I say I'll be the first person to celebrate because I hate to see new teams not
we'd
win.
love to see that first one. Yeah. Looking at the milestone signing stats then. So Pakistan leading up the Southampton division, but it is a 4-way race as they are all on 2-1. So followed by points. Followed by points by Ross's team. Ben Assessis in the Dream Team. Turn to Portsmouth Division, Gridiron Gang are heading that one up on their own now at 2-1. As Bedene just lost last week, so they fall to 1-2.
How does it feel?
I don't know. I've never won a division before in the LOC. It feels weird. I don't like it. No, it's good.
I think you'll be all right with that. It's you've got a guy who's 0-3, as we said. It's Gypsy Mike plus Ollie's just like.
So what you're saying is I'm the Cowboys of the NFC.
Very much so.
That's
exactly that. And if
let's hope that continues.
And if you don't win, then I believe that your GM is going to sack you. Who happens to be your owner as well, or you're going to sack him. So that's it.
I've got the perfect interim GM to come in if the GM does get fired. So.
That's it. Well, exactly. I mean, the Cowboys GM can't really fire himself, sadly, but you can fire yourself.
I could.
That's it, and then Phil will be in sole charge of your team.
Exactly, and I'd be the owner, and then I could sack him.
That's it. I mean, again and again
exactly.
and again.
Exactly. What's not to like? But I noticed in second there, bucking the trend in third based on points, and then Napolitan's the only 0-3 team left, so the only team with the 0 in the column still. And then the Winchester division obviously being led up by Chris, currently number 1 seed with the highest points at 2-1. Ixan also 2-1, but fair ways behind in points, and then Tom Sorrents and you are gold at 1-2. We'll do the whole breakdown stuff now. So Pakistan, despite losing McCaffrey, still did enough to have an 8-3 record last week, and they sit 28-5. Really, you go after Pat, everyone else is from 2 to probably. Let's say 2 to 8 is in the same boat. That's between 23 and 10 and 18 and 15. And then in the bottom quadrant, you've got Bedene and 9, 8 and 25. As you are gold, Napolitan 7, 26, and bucking the trend at 3 and 30.
Say no more
to start the year.
Say no. Just before we move on, Ben's going to message me no doubt at some point this week and go, "But I was the highest scoring team and went 11-0, and you shit on my team." So Josh Allen's not scoring 45.
If your quarterback scores 45 and you're not the highest scoring team in a week,
something's going wrong
against the Washington defense that has not looked like Washington's defense.
No.
It looks more like the Seattle's defense. So turning to coach ranking. So Chris, you are top of this category as well, leading in points because you are picking the right players.
No one can say I don't know what I'm talking about.
Exactly. You've only left 8 on the bench through 3 weeks. That's pretty good going. Gridiron Gang still in second. They dropped to 17 last week, so they've gone down to 25. Pakistan having a pretty good year as well. The reason my phone is blowing up is because West Ham scored again.
I did know that. I just wanted to see who scored.
Sorry, Ben Martin. There you go.
Nice. There you go. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
It's okay.
But everyone needs to know that West Ham scored again.
Definitely.
Because they're a European powerhouse now.
That we are. We're massive. Ben's in fourth there with 38. Bedene is 40 as a Tom Starrance. Ross's team. Anyway, we'll skip over to the end. Dream Team there at the back with 62, back in the trend as well. Well, some of these wins are self-inflicted with 58 points on the bench there. Obviously, a lot of those in week 1.
Just greasing that wagon.
Yeah. And the 5th true ranking. Obviously, a fairly young season as well, so not a lot of room for deviation at the moment. So as you would expect it, 2 division leaders, the wildcard team, and the 5th, the highest points wildcard team there as well. The only difference, my team's sitting in 6th behind Ben Estes being the only omission of the playoff seeds at the moment. So if we turn to the other milestones, what do we have? We have 40th career and regular season win for Pakistan. So well done.
Congratulations.
And for Ross, you not only had the joy of breaking his win streak, you also delivered him his 60th regular season loss.
Thrilling. Do you know what? I'm really pleased about that. All that smack talk last week.
It had to come eventually.
Yeah, exactly
It had to come eventually. Keep an eye out for the power rankings. They will presumably drop between some time now and Sunday at 6 p.m. That has been the case. So
yes, it's a nice surprise.
Yeah, so keep an eye out for those when they come. We will go straight on to the Week 4 preview to close out the show then. So what games do we have on the slate? We have Gridiron Gang against Ixan, so we're going outside of the divisions again. Tom's Tyrants against Ben Acestes. It's a Founding Team Bowl. Napolitans against the Dream Team. Bucking the Trend against Forgot to Make a Logo. Palestine against Forge Flyers. And then we have the Ollie Bowl.
Do you know what? That's it. I'm just trying to think about what would be closest. There's a lot to like about some of these matchups. But that's it. I quite like the look of either one of the bottom three, Bucking the Trend and versus Ross's team, which is like, the chances of the league. And then you've got Pakistan versus me, which is the two, through 3 weeks. That's it.
Yep.
Top of the rankings.
2 division leaders. Yep.
I've had a marquee matchup in the last 2 weeks anyway. So I think we're going to go for the Ollie Bowl because there's not going to be much of an opportunity to do this again because they're not going to be amazing.
Wow, and it's it's not quite a cornered animal game.
No, I think that they're on the same records through 3 weeks, and also their teams have looked as underwhelming as each other. So let's do it.
Let's do it. Here you go. So basically, normal Monday Night Football then. Bill against your gold. Bananators take on your gold in Week 4 of the LOC season in this marquee matchup. It's the Ollie Bowl, of course. Both these teams are 1 and 2 right now, looking to get back on the winning horse. Currently projected to go to your gold, 93 to 90 points. Looking down the lineups, Baker Mayfield keeps his place in the lineup, but Dalvin Cook comes back. He is practicing again, so he's a logical return to the lineup, as is Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Dropped for Juju Smith-Schuster and TJ Hawkinson. So you are gold rolling out the 20 personnel, 2 running backs and 3 receivers this week. On the other side of the ball for the Detonators, let's see. So Emmanuel Sanders comes from the waiver into the lineup, as does Jacoby Myers. And then I think it's unchanged around that. So the Detonators also going with the 20 personnel there. History of this matchup all time. You are gold are 3 and 5 against the Detonators.
As a Patriots fan, are you, or indeed I, seeing something that Ollie is not? Because I don't really get that one.
James White is out for the season after he left the game. Myers was already the target leader in, I think, the first 2 weeks of the season, but then he saw even more targets as the safety blanket for Mac Jones.
He's going to get gobbled on the defense.
Well, you say that. Tampa have conceded the most points to receivers this year because they have no cornerbacks. They've just signed Rich Sherman, but he's an outside guy, not a slot guy. Yeah. So
it doesn't really matter because
if they're losing by 20, 30, for whatever, it's just going to be a pass funnel for 5 yards to Jacoby Myers.
That's it. Well, that's good, great in PPR.
I'm explaining the choice. I'm not saying I do it. I'm explaining the choice.
Indeed, which is fair enough. Look, I said in the build-up to this, these teams were much of a muchness. I think that what Ollie Gardner's team lacks with the QB does make up for in the skill position, which I think is quite balanced actually. I think that's quite nice. Cook, Edwards-Helaire, Thielen, Lamb and Mike Williams. It's solid. It's solid, and I quite like it against some of these teams. Cook's got to be fit, but then again, Aaron Jones got to be fit on the other side. Both are playing stout defenses, but that's it. I think that again they're going to see a lot of offense in the game. But I look on the other side. So do I like Edmonds against LA? No. Do I like Emmanuel Sanders at all? Somewhat, but
he did a lot of damage and not a lot of looks.
That's exactly that. So it's a dice roll. Ridley against Washington, if it's going to come good, it's going to come good there. Same with they've been leaking. And Jacoby Myers, well, that's it. Yeah, it might be a PPR king, but he's going to get gold by the secondary.
Yeah. There's a reason I dropped him.
Yeah, exactly that. Both defenses, fair enough. One's playing Detroit, one's playing Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Jared Goff's done actually alright in Detroit so far. They've just been desperately unlucky. As
Agreed.
Last week's proved.
The Tucker field goal should never have been.
Nope.
So
exactly that. So yeah, I think they've definitely showed a bit more bite under Dan Campbell, which is great for a guy who's going to be biting at ankles and knees. I think that Ollie Gardner's probably the driving seat for this one. He needs to be, because he needs to bounce back. The skill positions are great. Ollie Burdett is rolling a lot of dices. He's going to have to rely on Dak and Aaron Jones a lot. And hope one of the receivers comes good. I think the projections are pretty accurate. It's going to be pretty close, but Ollie Gardner by a hair.
Yeah. So going back to the injuries then, so Dalvin Cook, he's practice limited 2 days in a row. He should return. Aaron Jones, actually, I think he picked up an injury and was limited in yesterday's practice. Again, his ankle as well, but I think for them, I've not heard anything else, so I think it'll be fine. Juju, ribs, he's very questionable right now. Fields of hand injury, but he's not coming in probably anyway, but he might play. And then Mooney, questionable as well, but yeah, no confidence in that offense.
No.
Without a line. I think I agree, like, that lineup is fairly solid for your gold. Yes, the quarterback's not the best option, as you point out. There may be or may not be better options out there, but the Minnesota pass defense has been pretty leaky. And then on the other side, you're right. It will take the big, Prescott and Jones, and then hopefully Ridley finally turns up, because Washington haven't been great either. To turn the tide. So yeah, for me this is a win for UR Gold in this one as well, I'm afraid. On to our next game then. It is Gridiron Gang against Ixan. Two 2-1 teams, Gridiron Gang and Ixan, take on each other for the right to move to 3 wins in this one, and that right currently resides with Ixan as they're projected to take it 99-89. And looking down the lineups for Ixan, let's start there. So they have brought Josh Jacobs back into the lineup as he is questionable still. He limited practice on a limited basis today, so he comes in over Kenyon Drake. And then other than that, I think they're probably unchanged. So Ixan rolling out the 30 personnel, 3 running backs, Wishbone, and 2 receivers. On the other side for Gridiron Gang, Kirk Cousins comes into the lineup as the QB roulette goes on. What else has changed? Tyler Boyd comes in, and as does Eli Mitchell, in favour of the injured AJ Brown with that hamstring injury. And I can't even remember who else I played last week. He may already be off my team. Who cares? It's fine. So Gridiron Gang is rolling out the 20 personnel there as well. 2 running backs and 3 receivers. History of this matchup all time very much in favour of Ixan. 14-4.
14-4 is not there. That is a pretty lopsided.
It's a probably the most one-sided one in the LSC. I'm willing to guess.
Right, so let's just pick
it was Madison, of course.
Madison, of course, because who needs to? One start wonder. It's fine. Look, we've seen Ben's team go big. We've seen Ben's team go home. I think this is probably be somewhere in between. Josh Allen again should be in great form. Playing Houston at home, love it. I want to see which Nick Chubb turns up before I start commenting on this, because it's going to be a bit of a problem as time goes on if he doesn't get the volume that there was expected of him. It's really disappointing so far through 3 games.
Yeah, I mean it's very bizarre, just because it's not as if he's just getting a bunch of carries and not being very efficient. He's just not getting the carries. He has had 48 carries through 3 games, which it's what, 16 a game. So it's not awful, but I know in week 2 he only had 9. I don't know how many he had in the end last week, but it's something of concern.
I'm going to say touchdown dependency. Is it starting now? Perhaps. Same with Damien Harris. Again, there wasn't any value last week. Not like it this week. Not going to be a lot of offense there. So I'm afraid to say. And then you get to the receiver. You get to the couple of receivers. Again, Marvin Jones. He's playing tonight. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know with that. Jacksonville this year, can you rely on a team like that week in, week out? No. Though I think that he is a...
He's been the leading receiver so far, and
he's going to be a good red zone target.
You kind of see it with these weird teams that sometimes Cooks is a great example where they don't necessarily need to be in a game for them to have a good day. Because if they're behind, they're a funnel. If they're going to be in the game, it's going to be because of that guy.
He's used to be on poor teams as well, so it's not as if he's been feasted on loads of stuff in the past. He's been feasting on scraps. And then Josh Jacobs, the great unknown. That's it. Will he be fit? Will he get through a whole game? Will the LA Chargers just sit on him the whole game? Who knows? Yeah,
and Chargers sneakily haven't been great against the run so far either, but the Raiders' run game hasn't been obviously as proficient as their past games.
They don't need it, exactly.
They don't
need it this year.
Although I think Peyton Barber went for 100 last week, which is weird.
Which is a bit weird, but it's maybe we're seeing changing the tide. Maybe we're not. But look, Ben's team again. It relies on some big scores from big players, and that's what we have to expect. I think as well you're not going to get maybe Justin Tucker against Denver in Denver is quite a nice play.
Yeah,
but the Browns against Minnesota, middling. On the other side, that's it. You definitely play the matchups. That's it. You'll certainly get them out there. Bringing in Kirk.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, him and Derek Carr have obviously been...
You're rolling with Kirk?
They're impressed, so... Wow, you think...
That's fine. I'd rather play him over with Derek. But the thing is, Derek Carr just seems to eviscerate the defense this year. But
the Browns also...
Tell me to pick him up.
The Browns also gave up bunches of points to Tyrod Taylor.
This is true. And Kirk Cousins is better than that.
Yes.
So, it's alright. Hopkins against LA is going to be challenging. I don't know what kind of game you're going to see there, whether you're going to see Kyler just running all over the place and just doing his thing, or actually airing it out. Mm-hmm. It's got a shootout written over it though, so that's something. We saw Zeke again last week. I think it'd be the same again. Tyler Lockett's the locked-in number one at the moment, but not last week.
Yeah, that was a weird game.
It was, but he's done well.
And he got injured, but yeah.
He's done well so far. I don't think that'll stop. Bit of a down week. Got to come back after that. Tyler Boyd playing Jacksonville. He did well last week. Jacksonville sucks.
And T. Higgins is out. I probably won't reverse that before I go to bed. So we'll see.
Okay, we'll see. I'm rolling with it. Eli Mitchell is in Eli you trust?
Yeah, indeed. But I think it was clear from anyone who watched the Niners game last week that they don't really trust Trey Sermon.
Not yet.
Given he was coming off of his injury and his debut, almost his debut, because obviously he took the hit. But Mitchell showed pretty well. So if he's healthy, it's...
Yeah, and the Titans play the Jets, which, as we know, is hilarious.
Yeah.
So yes. Look, I think here can Josh Allen outscore Kirk Cousins in a matchup. I think he can. I think you've got some guys in really good form. You look at Lockett, Elliott, even Cousins. To be fair, Hopkins is no.
Only one viewer. Reconnected. It's fine. So.
One viewer's back.
Yeah. We'll just wait until...
They went away for half an hour.
Oh, there we go. Well, we're back on here now, so yeah, it's fine. We're back, so you didn't miss anything. We started rambling. What else was I saying? I lost what I was talking about. So, Josh Allen, I mentioned, injury-wise, that's the key for Josh Jacobs. He can pivot to Kenyon Drake, but we've not necessarily seen him take on a lot of the work. Elsewhere, my team is a bit battered and bruised all of a sudden. Obviously, Hopkins had the rib problem out of nowhere last week. Just played, but he's already started practicing again today, which is better than last week on a limited basis. Lockett had that scare of a knee injury, but he was supposedly fine and had some sort of hip issue, but again, he's limited and fine. Mitchell limited as well, still in a non-contact jersey with some sort of shoulder stinger, whatever that is. But he's got a few days, obviously. AJ Brown's obviously probably going to be out with that hamstring. Chase Claypool popped up on the injury report today as well, so I'm not sure what that is. So that's looking iffy. So my team is a little beaten up. I agree it's probably going to be a close one. While I might have the edge on the skill player side, you're right. Ben certainly has the edge. With the quarterback, there are a few guys you look at, Alexander, like you're saying. Damian Harris, what is he going to do? I think what you saw last week against the Saints, who aren't as good a defense as the Tampa Bay, is certainly not run-wise anyway. So he's going to be, and they don't trust him in pass protection.
Nope.
So he's not going to be out there. And then, like you said, the other guys there. Is this the week Cooks is actually erased? He plays against probably Tre'Davious White.
Yeah, it's possible.
And like you say, Marvin Jones. the Cincy defense isn't actually the worst.
They did all right last year. They did all right last year. They did all right last week.
I think they're without their starting safety for tonight's game. Where am I going to go? It's hard to go against the history with Exant. I think, like you say, Profiles is a close one. The projections aren't too wide. I think I'll go with Exant just based on the history and with how banged up my team is at the moment. So
double our viewers.
Oh, we have a second viewer. Hello, second viewer.
Hello. Welcome to... That's it. We shouldn't really advertise the fact we only have 2. We have many more than that. But we have 2 that we value. So
exactly. And many listeners after we go off air because you can't necessarily watch it live, but we're glad to have the 2 of you live. Please do comment and interact if you want to. Our next game then is Tom's Tyrants against Bare Necessities.
There we go.
Outstanding. Oh, there's 3 now. It's gone up to 3. Tom's Tyrants take on Bare Necessities. It's a battle of the founding teams here. But Tom's Tyrants is 1-2. Bare Necessities 2-1, and they're projected to move to 3-1 with a 94 to 87 point projection. Looking down the lineups, let's start with Bare Necessities. So I believe this lineup is unchanged once again. So they're rolling with the 21 personnel, 2 running backs and a tight end, and 2 receivers. On the other side of the ball, has Tom made any changes yet either? It does not appear so. So unchanged at the moment. Tom is rolling out the 20 personnel. 2 running backs, 3 receivers. From an injury point of view, Swift's still dealing with that groin, but he'll play. Melvin Gordon popped up, but I'd imagine just a rest day for an older guy. Has his own Antonio Gibson, but nothing serious there as far as I know. The history of this matchup all time, Bare Necessities are, well, it's a tight series, 6-6 between the 2.
Oh.
Over to you, Chris.
And he's still waiting for Adrian Peterson to come out of retirement.
I asked my dad about that last Friday. I was like, what is the deal with you holding in Adrian Peterson? He's like, oh, well, there's no one on the waiver wire that I'd play in my team over my starters yet. And I was like,
hang on.
But there is definitely someone on the waiver more valuable than Adrian Peterson. I was like, no, I don't think there is.
just for being good around the group.
I have no idea.
This is ridiculous. He
hasn't been looking as much because I guess he's been preoccupied and stuff. But he's changing his team and things.
I'm not having that. That's it. That is bizarre. Okay, well let's see if we can run this down then. So I think this week he's come across some interesting defenses. I would say. He come across San Francisco, Chicago, Philly, and no slouch. That's it. New England and the remnants of the Baltimore Ravens defense all in the same week. I think it's going to be another solid score, but is it going to cap that ceiling? I think it probably will. Also on the other side, Tom's got himself into some shootouts. So I think that Chargers Raiders game is going to be a shootout. I think that Arizona LA Rams is going to be a bit of a shootout. It'd be interesting to see what Denver can do when they're not playing a terrible offense and a defense. So they don't, they're not going to be on the field a lot.
Sure, just looking down as well, I guess you would profile Antonio Gibson probably will come into the team against Atlanta.
Well, you'd like to think so against Atlanta as well. So that's going to take one more out. That's going to take
maybe Tyson.
Yeah, I think so. I would. Debo's had a sneaky good year so far.
He's been the best weapon in that passing offense so far. Yeah.
So I think that it does have a lot of value there. Brad McManus playing at home again. We saw what happened last week, kicking for all he's worth. I think against a better defense, he could well be brought on again. And say we do often overlook kickers and defenses, but it does make a big difference to people's weeks.
Absolutely,
because the Panthers done really well so far. But they go to Dallas and play in Dallas, and Dallas play really well at home.
Panthers have had, much like the Broncos, a very soft schedule to open the year as well.
Yeah, exactly that. So that's a bit of a question mark for me. Rams playing Arizona definitely a question mark for me, especially against the QB on the opposing side. So look, I think that there's more to like for Tom than there is for your dad's team. I think that again, QBs play a big part in this, because if Kyler goes off in that big game, then I'm not sure Wilson can be able to keep up with that. And I love Allen and I love Debo. And love Antonio Gibson in that matchup as well if he comes in. It's
a tricky one for me because you're right. I think matchups definitely reside with Tom's Tyrants, but I think from a talent point of view, my dad probably does just about edge it. That there is a lot of talent in that team.
Yeah, sure. No,
Some of the matchups that aren't that bad. The weakness of the Niners defense is the pass defense at the moment, so Russ will probably cook, you would think. Diggs against Houston, kind of same applies what we said about Josh Allen. If, they've got to someone's got to score the points on the way to the blowout, so he's obviously a candidate, and he's been quiet so far, so the game's probably coming. DeAndre Swift, Bears run D's fairly good, but he's looked pretty good so far. Kelsey's obviously Kelsey. Evans against New England, I don't know whether we would necessarily just stick JC Jackson on him or something. So he might be able to do something, and then Melvin Gordon good as well. I think I'm actually kind of leaning with my dad's team here. It's a close one again, I think. It's definitely a close one. I just think there's a bit more talent. Most of the matchups are nice. You do worry that LA Rams D's fairly good. I saw a stat earlier on Reddit about the last game before Sean McVay came in to LA. LA lost 44-0 to Arizona. Since the score has been something ridiculous, like 291 to 80 something in cumulative score, and he's not lost. He's won every single time.
That's it. For that, in that game, it's like the best of two elements. It's like the Arizona offense, which is obviously extremely dynamic, against the LA Rams defense, which is obviously extremely dynamic. And what will happen when those two collide? I'm excited to see. I'm stoked to see it. In fact,
but had we not chosen Badetta as your gold for the marquee matchup, that one probably would have been it for me, because that's going to be a good game to watch.
Yep.
So on to our next game then. We have Neapolitans against the Dream Team. Neapolitans searching for their first win, staring 0-4 in the face, take on the Dream Team, who have now surged ahead to 2-1, and they're projected to go ahead to 3-1, 97-81. Looking down the lineups, I'll start with the Dream Team. So I believe they are unchanged at the moment. So Dream Team is still rolling out the 20 personnel, 2 running backs, 3 receivers. On the other side for Neapolitans, they very much... Oh no, excuse me, they are changed. So Zach Moss has come into the lineup in favour of maybe Noah Fant? I can't remember who he played last week. Outside of that, I think unchanged. So Neapolitans is rolling out the 31, the lesser seen 31 personnel, 3 running backs, a tight end, and a wide receiver. The history of this matchup of time, there is none, of course. Justin Herbert questionable, he'll be fine. I've not heard anything about him. Tony Pollard missed practice today, but that was a personal thing, not injury. Jackson's obviously having some back hip issue at the moment, hasn't practiced yet, one to keep an eye on. Barkley's just getting maintenance as he comes back from that injury. Don't know what Taylor's injury is, but he'll be fine. Kittle, I believe, has an ankle problem, hasn't practiced 2 days in a row, so that is one to keep an eye on. Chris, over to you.
I mean, already Neapolitans are banged up. Already we weren't massively hot on them, and I'm afraid that, again, I can't be too hot on them again this week. Look, until I see a bit more from Jonathan Taylor and I see a bit more from the supporting cast, I can't really back them. You know, it's good to see that Barkley's doing better, but condition's still an issue, and going to play the Saints in New Orleans is difficult.
Their first home game in the Superdome.
Yeah, that's it. So it's difficult. Jackson playing in Denver. So you go across the country, you play up there, you play in somewhere where they've got a bit of a wind going, and it's. I think that's going to be a difficult game. They struggled to do Detroit last week, so Denver's it's a very different game, and much more difficult. If Kittle doesn't play, then there's not a lot of depth there that I would want to rely on, and the Patriots could well get spanked by Tampa. Or it could go completely the opposite direction. It's going to
absolute Belichick masterclass.
It could be absolutely. It's who gets it. Does the apprentice take on the master and have him, or does the master?
They're going to try and cook something up to get hits on him, because that's always been the way to get Tom Brady, hitting him flush in the middle of the pocket and forcing him to.
I wouldn't bet against Brady in this game though. He's going
absolutely.
He's going to be coming in all guns blazing, especially as. There's been some revelations this week about how he left and why he left and who was to blame for that. Look, on the other side, Viv's come off a great week. As I say, his receivers are very dangerous and in very dangerous matchups. Same with the running backs, to be fair. Justin Herbert's been great. As I say, that Chargers Raiders game could well be an absolute one for the ages. And yeah, I just can't look past them this week. That's it. That is stacked, that team, and I think once it gets a bit ahead of steam, it's going to be really, really exciting. So yeah, big win for the Dream Team. Neapolitans looking again for another win.
Yeah, no, I don't really have too much to add to that. The only thing I would add, I'd like this Dream Team a little bit more, probably if they took James Robinson out. I know it's a Thursday night game, but you see Corey Davis against Tennessee there. It's probably the better way to go. But yeah, no, easy pick, unfortunately, for the Dream Team for me as well. But hey, let's see an upset, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely.
On to our next game then. Oh, by the way, I got a blurb that came up on Roto Baller earlier, which is funny. I meant to say, it was just said, Amari Cooper is feeling better. Well, isn't that nice to know?
That's nice to know.
I'm glad you pushed that notification to him.
I am so pleased. That's it. So he should do.
On to the next game. Bucking the trend, take on forgot to make a logo. Ross's team in this week 4 matchup. Ross's team 2-1. They received their first loss of the year last year. Meanwhile, Bucking the trend got their first win. They're projected to get another though, 95-88. Looking down the lineup, so for Bucking the trend, they bring Michael Pittman into the lineup in favour of Julio Jones, who we've already talked about. He's banged up at the moment. No other changes there, so he's rolling out 20 personnel, 2 running backs, 3 receivers. On the other side of the ball, for got to make a logo. I don't believe they are changed at the moment. Just sticking to the bench. Maybe Darrell Henderson probably comes back in on Sunday would be the change. Does Allen Robinson possibly get a start as well? We'll see. Shepard probably won't play. Had a hamstring injury on Sunday, so it's typically too quick to turn around. And Gronk obviously got levelled on a hit there. But
to say the least.
He hasn't practiced a couple of days, but he ain't missing that game, let me tell you. So, history of this matchup all time. Bucking the trend is 2-0 against Ross's team.
Yeah, Ross needs to not only just forget to make a logo, right? He needs to just create another team now. We've seen no creativity this year. It saddens me. We've seen all the creativity for the last 2 seasons. And now this year it's like, I'm going to forget to make a team name, I'm going to forget to make a logo, I forget to change my team, who cares about waivers? So, unfortunately that's probably going to be his downfall here, because if he doesn't get Sterling Shepard out of his team, then it's going to be a bit of a problem.
He's just about checked it. He's obviously got a newborn now.
Yes, absolutely. But that's it. I'm going to bang on about it all the time. We always want good competition.
Yep.
If you don't change the team before the game start, we don't get it.
He doesn't have any Thursday nighters at least, so
no,
that won't,
exactly that. So just make sure to check in. If Sterling Shepard doesn't play, just make sure you change somebody out. But yeah, it's going to be the Mahomes and Adams show. We talked earlier about that Vegas Chargers game. I think he's going to have to rely on Waller a little bit there. So Gronk, you wouldn't put it against Brady by trying to get as many. A touchdown at Gronk at some point in that game.
100%.
And the Bills versus Houston could be funny, but not for Houston. On the other side, Mike's got to have a bounce back, but look, when you see the first 2, you've got Tannehill and Kamara against the 2 New York teams.
I do question Tannehill though, with possibly Julio and AJ Brown out of the line.
I didn't worry about that. Tannehill's a callback sneak guy. That's it. Loves a callback sneak. So it's all right. We're good. That's it. I wouldn't worry. Derrick Henry does. We're going to talk about this in a minute, but that's it. We're going to talk about this in a minute. But Tannehill against that shouldn't have an issue finding a decent yardage amount and probably a touchdown for himself somewhere along the way. But again, we talked about earlier on about having a bit more improvement with the skill players here. Will Cooper and Will Metcalf be a factor in this game? They need to be. I think they probably will be based on who they're playing. Pittman coming into a little bit of a strange one for me. Hopefully Wentz is back in and fighting fit rather than back in and trying to play on one ankle and one half an ankle. But he's someone who has looked like a wide receiver 1 for them for the most part this year. He just needs to be able to.
I wonder if, because the Miami pass defense is meant to be pretty good. They've got 3 very good corners,
and they're playing away, and it's just it's just so different. Indianapolis this time of the year to playing in Miami this time of the year is conditions make a big difference right now. And then 49ers playing Seattle, which I'm not too keen about either, to be honest.
And then it cost them last week as well, playing the 49ers against Green Bay.
So, again, a similar kind of offense that is just as dangerous, I would say. So, Mahomes and Adams will probably outscore Tannehill and Kamara. Probably. Although they are playing the New York teams.
New York's run day isn't.
But the supporting cast is just, it doesn't inspire me on Ross's team at all. And it didn't last week when it played me, and it doesn't on the bench.
No.
Whilst Mike's, at least he's got a sign of life, and although he's got 80 points last week, did have an awful lot more to give. So I think that's probably going to be Mike's team. But again, in another gritty low scorer, where, which I think is probably for both of them is what's going to happen a lot this year.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I think Ross is definitely bringing in Darrell Henderson if he plays. I think that's no question over. It's got to be Sterling Shepard, and then there's got to get dropped for an Allen Robinson
or Logan Thomas.
Yeah, quite possibly. I think that might be all he would need to get the win. But so based on the current lineup, so I'd go back in the trend. But I do trust that Ross will hopefully make some changes before Sunday.
Fingers crossed. That's it.
And if he does, I could see him bringing home that win.
So things to focus on there is it. Get a logo, get a team name, and change your team. Nothing too difficult.
Yeah, forget the kid. It's fine.
That's it. Exactly that. That's it. Just for a bit, just for 30 seconds, just think of something else.
Well, based on last season, he had, I'm pretty sure he had them all set before week 1. So
did he?
They've got. Yeah.
Well, there you go then. That's it. Exactly that. So while you're up, just like feeding the baby, just think.
Exactly.
What can I name my team and do?
Go. Exactly. On to our last game of the week then. Pakistan take on Forge Flyers. It's a battle of the 2-1 teams here, and they're both fighting to go to 3-1, and that is projected to be Forge Flyers 103, very high projection there, to 91. Looking down the lineup, so for Forge Flyers, let's see, you've brought Odell Beckham into the lineup in favour of Marquise Brown. So you are rolling out the 30 personnel, Wishbone again, 3 running backs, 2 receivers. On the other side of the ball for Palestine, Chuba Hubbard obviously comes in for the injured Christian McCaffrey, and then I think the rest is unchanged. I believe so. So Palestine is going with the 20 personnel, a popular choice this week. 2 running backs, 2 receivers. History of this matchup all time: Palestine are 6-1 against Forge Flyers. I would not have been expecting that.
No, it's it. They are. They're very good against me. But I give myself a great chance because the matchups for me are outstanding, and I couldn't have asked for a better week for it to happen, to break the hoodoo. Rodgers loves shitting on Pittsburgh, so it's great. I bought in the receivers. So Beckham comes in against Minnesota, as we said earlier on. So they're leaky. Cup's had a great start to the season again in a big, in bold shootout game. This is going to be a big one for him. And then we come to the crown jewels, really, where it's the running backs. And I've got Mixon playing tonight against Jacksonville, hoping for a big result there. I've got Carson, who's been rock solid so far, mainly because he's scored touchdowns against San Francisco. They're not a great run D, turns out. But he gets all the goal line work, and I'm happy with what we get in there. But look at that. Derrick Henry against the Jets, and I have to say to you now, people, I'm excited. I'm excited to see some guys because he's going. If
the Jets don't just bring on 11 D linemen and O linemen,
they really have to, because
especially with the receivers banged
exactly
up.
That 2 receivers banged up. We got some not particularly like sterling guys playing at receiver. That's it. The pass catching tight end is gone. So it's going to be a bit of a turkey shoot there with any luck. The Saints playing the Giants. Like it. On the other side, Brady in New England, playing New England. This is the highlight of the week, I think.
Oh, yeah.
In everyone's book, going back there, playing in prime time, Sunday night. Look, that has got points written all over it. I hate to say it, but you know what? When you've got someone like him and Godwin together, I think that spells, it spells danger, and he's going to be out for blood there. Yeah, I'm really interested to see how Chuba Hubbard gets on against Dallas. They're much improved. They're playing away the Panthers. So I think the Dallas are up there for the highest amount of takeaways so far this year as well. They've done the outstanding job of changing that defense from being a bit of a laughing stock to one that's at least credible. So it's going to be a bit of a tougher challenge. David Montgomery playing Detroit's nice, but the offense is not nice. And then we get down there again. Justin Jefferson's been a stud so far. I don't see that changing. Bucker and the Bengals, you can't really get safer than that. So I think that again, we're going to see a tough game for both of our teams. I think that again, quarterback makes a big difference in this. I think that Brady's going to outscore Rodgers, by the way.
Oh, I'll take.
Because as much as Rodgers likes playing Pittsburgh, Brady's going to love playing New England more.
And they don't have a run offense, really.
No. So exactly that. And so he's up there. I think he's the number one, touchdown passer of the year so far. But I can't look past some of those matchups that I've got and look at them and laugh and think to myself, thank you very much. That's it. Scored 100 points in 2 weeks straight. I can't see that. I can't see that not getting a high score out of the guys that I've got playing those teams that I've got. So I'm absolutely going to go for my team. But it wouldn't surprise me if Pat was close, hanging on to the coattails, or even winning the game, because history, funnily enough, does repeat itself in this league. Yeah.
6-1's certainly nothing to be sneezed at. I'm pretty confidently going to go for your team, though, and it's not a case of I don't like Pat's team, even without McCaffrey. I still like Pat's team. But I would not be surprised if Derrick Henry went for 40 points this week.
No,
and I think when you can say that about one player, let alone have the other quality players you have there in the other nice matchups, I think it's just going to be a very fun Sunday for your team. Pat, Brady, we'll see what Belichick can cook up for him. I agree, he's still going to score some semblance of points. Whether he goes bananas or not, time will tell. I don't know about Montgomery. It's true. I kind of think this Lions D is a little bit underrated.
Yeah, what's it?
Dan Campbell's a good coach. You've already said it. And that Bears O-line is atrocious. They are probably going to stop the run and just say, all right, quarterback, win the game then. Because why wouldn't you do that if you're playing the Bears? We don't know what we're going to see with Chuba Hubbard. And not only that, the Panthers had obviously a soft start to the year schedule-wise. Donald's looked okay in said soft schedule, not great, okay. He's now playing a Dallas D that, despite losing DeMarcus Lawrence and another D-Iman, I think, they're actually playing really well. Does DJ Moore get the Trayvon Diggs treatment? I don't know if he travels into the slot or whatever. I could see those two struggling potentially there. And then, look, Pat's team is still good. It's still going to score some points. I just think that it's not going to be enough to keep up with your team this week.
I hope not.
So Pat hopes differently.
That's it indeed.
So that is the end of the pod then. So obviously we will be back with you sometime next week. So we hope that obviously you have a nice rest of your week, a great weekend. Good luck in your fantasy matchups. But obviously unless you're playing me, of course. Goodbye, folks.